All right, cool. So today we're going to talk about inventory valuation, all right? So how many of you guys have ever done inventory? How many of you have worked in a retail? Almost everybody, yeah. Ooh. Patty. She's not here today. I actually think Patty is doing inventory today or just did it. So we're going to get her to talk to us about what the process was. So let me just ask you guys, like, for those of you who have done inventory, how often do you do inventory? You want to hear something funny? I actually did inventory yesterday at Wade College. Literally, if you saw me in the hall, I was counting everything, computers, but how often do you guys do inventory?
At Sunglass Hut, we do it every time we open. Kind of just like to count our stock, to see what we sold, and then,
wow.
Yeah.
So daily?
Yeah.
Okay, very unusual. Yeah? What about you guys?
Once a quarter.
Quarterly, okay, so 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Who else?
I worked at 24 Fitness in their retail stuff.
Yep.
We did it every month.
Monthly, okay. These answers surprised me actually. And how many of you do it once a year? Where you close the store, right? Or maybe close the store for certain hours and you do your inventory. Okay, so regardless of what your answer is, you know, can the buyer wait quarterly, monthly, or once a year to understand how much inventory he or she has? Can we wait? No, of course not, right? When do we need to know how much inventory we have, we own? At all times. That is the perfect answer. At all times. And that number changes all the time. Why does inventory change? Why does the amount of inventory we own change? Give me reasons why it changes. Sales, great. Goods are going out. What else you got?
Damages.
Damages, fine. What else? Great. Orders, purchases coming in. What else you got? How about transfers, right? Between stores. So stores' inventories are constantly changing. What else you got?
Returns.
Great, returns, that's a confusing one because that's inventory coming in, right? We need to add that back to our inventory. What else you got? There's a few more. This lecture is going to be so easy because you all understand why inventory values change. What else? Give me a couple more. Give me the obvious ones that don't get rung up. Theft, breakage, right? When a thief steals, the thief doesn't say, hi, I'm taking 10 pieces, like record this, right? So this is why we need to calculate inventory, okay? So, inventory valuation. By the way, today we're going to be buyers of designer shoes, hence the shoe on my little presentation today, all right? So, what I want to do, of course, now that I'm live, my remote control doesn't work, and I checked it. Amazing. What I want to do is, I want to explain to you guys the difference between book and physical inventory, okay? So when you guys count your inventory in stores, what you're doing is you're conducting physical inventory, okay? Physical inventory is literally a count. So what do you think we're going to be doing in this class? Do you think we're going to be doing physical inventory or book inventory? Book, right? We're not going to do physical inventory. Why not? Because I'm not going to bring in a bag of jelly beans and tell you, here, count this, right? That's for the retail store, and what do I always tell you guys? Get off the retail sales floor, yes? So what we're going to be conducting in this class is called book inventory, okay? And I'm going to explain to you what book inventory is. Book inventory is simply the books, our records. It's our calculation, okay? Physical inventory can only be done every so often, but book inventory is perpetual. What does the word perpetual mean? If something is perpetual, what is it?
Never ending.
Ongoing, never ending, exactly, right? So it never ends. It's ongoing, never ending, okay? So we're going to talk about that. The thing that we need to learn before we can start calculating this stuff, I don't understand why my remote control doesn't work, is additions and subtractions, additions and reductions, okay? Additions is anytime goods come in. Reductions are anytime goods go out. It's that simple. So when we have additions, you add. When we have reductions, you subtract. Okay, it's not quite that simple, but for now it's that simple, okay? So if it comes in, we add. If it goes out, we subtract, okay? Or if it makes the value of inventory go up, we add. And if it makes the value of inventory go down, we subtract. We'll talk a lot about that in a minute, okay? And then the last thing that we're gonna do today in this section is we're gonna calculate shortages and overages, okay? And then I am gonna teach you how to forecast all this stuff, okay? Because you're gonna see that when we calculate this stuff, we need physical inventory, but we only have the physical inventory number once a year or once a quarter or once a month. We can't wait for that. So really what we have to do is try to guess at it, okay? We want to estimate it, and I'll show you that at the end of this presentation. Okay, so let's begin. We begin with physical inventory, an actual count. So you see this buyer here, right? See the goods behind him in his warehouse or distribution center? That's physical, right? We can count them. We can get an actual, accurate count in both units and dollars. That's not what we're here to do today, because we sit in the buying office, right? We're not physically going into the stores to count inventory. So what we're doing is called book inventory, based on the books, the records. It's also known as perpetual. Why is it perpetual? Because it's constantly ongoing. When can we calculate book inventory? Perpetually. What does that mean? Always, okay? You can calculate it every morning, you can calculate it at night, you can calculate it after the stores have closed. It is constantly changing, okay? So, don't forget the difference between the two, because what we're adding up is called book inventory. We're gonna compare that number to physical inventory. You'll see what I mean in a second when we do a couple of practice problems today, okay? So, everybody cool so far? Book inventory is our records. It is what the buyer is supposed to have. What we are supposed to have. Physical inventory is what we actually have. And by the way, the numbers never match. Never, 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 okay? Book inventory is always gonna either be bigger or smaller than what we are supposed to have, than what we have in physical inventory. Why?
Damages, loss, theft,
All of those things.
unconfirmed shipments.
Great. And overshipping. Sometimes a vendor will ship us more than we have ordered on accident, and we gladly take that merchandise in. Boom. I'll tell you a funny story later when we talk about overages of an experience I had personally. It's one of the best things in my life. Okay, everybody cool? So we all understand the difference between book and physical inventory. Okay, now let's go through the adds and the subtracts, okay? What are we gonna add, what are we gonna subtract? And I wanna tell you about this building, by the way, totally unrelated to this presentation, but first let's talk about when we add. Okay, purchases. Don't let this one confuse you. Purchases are not sales. A sale, you all know what a sale is. Yes, a sale is a customer buying something that's going out. A purchase is what? What is a purchase? Who's doing the purchasing? You got it. A purchase is inventory coming in, okay? Purchase means that we have bought something with our open to buy and the goods are coming into the store. So purchase, add. Transfer in from one store to another, add it. Customer returns, this always confuses people because you always think of a return as minus, right? Because it makes your sales go down. But a return makes our inventory go up, add. Markdown cancellations. Okay, so let's remember, when a sale is over and the value of our remaining inventory goes up because the sale has been canceled, that's a markdown cancellation. What does that do to our inventory? The amount of inventory we have doesn't change, but what happens to the value of our inventory? I always use the same stupid example. You've got 5 candles, right? And those 5 candles on sale were 15 each. $15, $30, $45, $60, $75, okay? Now the sale is over. We still have 5 candles, but now these candles are back up to $30. How many of you guys came to my Niven Morgan field trip last week? Those were some beautiful candles, yeah. We talked all about kind of his like product development process, and he's gonna rebrand the candles next year. They're gonna be Mr. Morgan. I'm a candle guy, all right? Come to my office, you know I'm always burning a candle. I will make you sorry that you visited because it's like, woof, right? But, so we still have 5 candles, but what happened to the value of our candles after the sale? It increased, okay? So even though we still have the same amount of inventory, the value of it has increased. Does everybody agree? So anytime we have a markdown cancellation, add. Cool? Okay, and then anytime you have additional markup, anytime the value of your inventory is going up, you add, okay? So in or up, add. Cool? And then out or down, subtract. So by the way, before we go there, what's this building? We've talked about it before. If you've not visited it, you don't know what it looks like. But we've talked about it. What is it? Aha. Yes. Shelby says it was a post office.
That's cool.
It has its own zip code. Yeah. And what's it become? Well, that is the Chicago Apparel Mart. It's right on the river. They claim this is the largest apparel mart in the world, and it technically is true. It's the largest single building apparel mart in the world. Its square footage is roughly about what Dallas is. We are the largest apparel mart in the world because we've connected 3 buildings together, right? Technically 4 buildings. But anyway, that is the Chicago Apparel Mart. And it has a massive number of menswear businesses, right? Probably it's the largest kind of menswear collection of businesses in the world. But that was the original Chicago Post Office. It was so big it had its own zip code. And why was it so big? You guys remember? What was it doing?
Was it like shipping to a lot of places more than just
It was,
Chicago
and what
area?
was it shipping? Well, yes, of course. That is what the post office does. What kind of mail? Catalogs.
That's right.
That is the Sears and Roebuck, and there were many, many different American catalogs based somewhere out of Chicago, and it was so many of those catalogs were shipping to the entire United States out of that post office, okay? All right, so anyway, those are the additions. Subtractions, all right? So when do we subtract? We subtract anytime goods are going out of our store or if the value of goods are going down. So here's one you didn't tell me earlier, RTVs. So a return to vendor, where's the goods going?
Vendor.
Yeah, out, right? They're leaving either our stores or our distribution centers, so that's a subtract. Transfer out. Anytime goods are leaving a store, go to another store, that's a transfer out, subtract, okay? Anytime you have a markdown, a discount, a damage that you're still gonna sell to a consumer, all of those make the value of our inventory go down, so subtract, okay? So again, if it's going out or the value is going down, we subtract. Okay, now I'm gonna show you a formula that you're gonna absolutely hate the look of it, and then I'm gonna tell you forget about it, let's throw it away. I have an easier way to do this. Cool? You know I like my tricks of the trade. So here's the formula. The formula is basically to add up all of your pluses and then add up all of your minuses and subtract the 2. I think that's a big pain in the ass and I don't really want to do this way, okay? So let me show you instead how I would do my inventory situations. Now in real life you'll do this in an Excel spreadsheet and you'll just drag a formula down. Don't even bother taking a picture of this. I really don't want you to even use it, okay? You can if you want to. My paper airplane shirt. But I'd rather you do it this way, okay? So is everybody at the problem? So it's in the back of the book, 4 pages after the little yellow divider, right? I should have numbered the back of the book and I didn't. Okay, here's what you're gonna do. Let me read you this problem. The buyer of women's designer shoes at Nordstrom has evaluated her inventory status at each of her however many locations. The following is for the North Park location. Calculate closing book inventory and shortage or overage. Okay, so I haven't taught you shortage or overage yet, so don't worry about that. We're gonna get there in a minute, but we are ready to calculate closing book inventory, okay? So let's look. You've got opening inventory, 35,443. What is opening inventory? We haven't discussed that concept yet. What is opening inventory? What does it sound like? What you start with, what did you say?
Beginning on hand.
Perfect, that's exactly what it sounds like, right? It's like BOM inventory, right? So, opening inventory is basically just whatever you're starting with, okay? And it isn't BOM because we're not necessarily doing this inventory valuation on the first day of the month, right? Or the last day of the month, at the end of the last day of the month. We're doing it whenever because this is perpetual inventory. So start with that number. And people always ask me, Mr. Conti, do I add it or subtract it? Well, if I'm doing 1 plus 1, what am I doing with this top number?
You're adding to it.
I mean, I'm adding this to that, but what am I doing with the top 1? I don't know. I'm just starting with it, right? I'm just starting with this number and I'm adding this to it, okay? So what do I do, Mr. Conti, with opening inventory? Just start with it. Take that number and start with it, okay? And whatever is underneath it, you're gonna do something to it. Okay, let's go down the entire list and let's just put plus or minus, okay? So the next one is gross purchases. Plus or minus, what are purchases?
The buyer buys.
We are doing purchasing. Goods are coming in, add, put a plus. RTV, plus or minus?
Minus.
Minus, because return to vendors going out. Transfer in, plus or minus? Plus. Transfer out, plus or minus? Minus. Gross sales, think about it. Where are sales going? I know you always think like, okay, sales is a plus because it's good, but sales and inventory is a minus, it's going out, right? Minus. Customer returns, okay, we always think of returns as a minus, but in terms of inventory, where's it coming? In plus, beautiful. Markdowns, minus, making value go down. Markdown cancellations, the sale is over and the value of the goods is going up, plus, okay? And then employee discounts, plus or minus? Minus because the value is going down. Okay, do me a favor. Draw a line, a nice long line in between employee discounts and closing physical inventory, a nice line all the way across the page. Beautiful, great. Okay, everything on top of the line, all of the numbers on that page, except for that bottom number, is what? What are all the numbers on that page except for that bottom number?
Things that increase and decrease our inventory.
Definitely.
Transactions.
Definitely. Good answers. They are, let me put those together. Transactions that increase or decrease our inventory, yeah. What is everything on the top above the line? No, but it will lead to it. Beautiful. Shelby. Book inventory, okay? It is our books, it's our records. It is our computer system telling us these numbers, okay? It is what we are supposed to have. Okay, so I'm gonna shut up for a second. Start with your opening inventory, go ahead and add and subtract, and then put your answer on top of the line, okay? Write your answer down on top of the line. While you're doing this, I'm just gonna tell you one quick thing, which is, when you're solving for book inventory, your answer is never going to be that far away from physical inventory unless you've had a fire or a flood or a natural disaster. And I am not going to give you any fires, floods, or natural disasters in this class. So if you get an answer and the answer is really different from 34,010, you've had a fire, flood, or natural disaster, and remind yourself, I'm not doing that to you in this class. All right, who got an answer? Got one? What'd you get?
36,405.
36,405? Somebody else get 36,405?
Yes.
Super duper. Okay, what's that answer? What is $36,405? Beautiful. It is your closing book inventory. Okay? Plain English. It's your perpetual inventory, ongoing, or it's simply what you're supposed to have. Okay, but what do you actually have?
$34,010.
Okay, that's your physical. Okay, that's your book, that's your physical. Now I'm going to give you a formula. It's really simple. Formula is book minus physical. It's not even up there. Okay, we're going to do something with the answer, but book minus physical. It's kind of common sense, right? this is how much I'm supposed to have, this is how much I have. Obviously, I want to subtract the two numbers to figure out the difference, right? It's kind of common sense. You don't really need a formula. But this is your closing physical book. This is your closing physical. Subtract the two. Give me an answer. I'm going to put it in my mind.
2,395.
Okay. That number, the answer, the difference between book and physical, all right, is either going to be shortage or overage, okay? And you don't have to memorize this. It's kind of common sense, but let's look. When your physical is bigger, you have overage. When your book is bigger, you have shortage. Let's think about this for a second, okay? When your records say that you have, that you're supposed to have more than what's physically there, there is shortage. And we're going to talk for a second about why shortage exists, although you guys already know why. When your book inventory is littler, smaller than your physical inventory, when the stores actually counted more valuable merchandise than you're supposed to have, than your records say you have an overage. And that's pretty rare, and I'll explain to you why that would occur. But 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you're going to have shortage. The book inventory number is going to be bigger than the physical inventory. Okay, let me tell you my quick story first of all. When I worked for Ralph, we had a store in somewhere outside of like Miami, Florida, that had a hurricane one year. We were on the main floor of the store, and our shop was destroyed. We lost like most of our, even stuff like on T-stands, like off the floor, destroyed, okay? So our physical inventory number was almost zero when our book inventory was like, $500,000, okay? So in that case, there was a huge difference between book and physical inventory. I will not do that to you. Clear about this? No hurricanes in here, no tornadoes, no natural disasters, no burning the store down, okay? So remember that. If your book and your physical numbers are really, really, really different, you've made a mistake. You've accidentally added or subtracted something wrong. Do it over. Clear? Deal? Okay? Conti's not going to give you any fires, all right? Okay, so we're not done yet. So it feels like we're done. Okay, so I calculated my book, I subtracted it from physical, I got an answer, and now I'm going to label the answer. Shortage or overage. In this problem, what do we have? Shortage. Why do you say shortage? And go ahead and label it. Why is it a shortage?
Because our book inventory.
Beautiful. Because our records say we're supposed to have 36,000, but the stores only counted 34,000. There is a shortage of over $2,000. We're missing $23.95 worth of merchandise. Everybody agree? And if the numbers were subtracted, don't worry about positive, negative, it doesn't matter. If the numbers were the opposite, we subtracted, the answer would just be overage. No big deal, same difference, okay? You get the same answer. Okay, but is $23.95 acceptable or horrible?
That's a lot. The company's percentage.
Okay, it depends on a percent, okay? There is an acceptable rate of shortage, and it's going to vary by the type of product category that we're the buyer of, okay? Who are we right now?
Shoes.
Shoes. High-end designer shoes. Where are high-end designer shoes? Physically, where are they?
High-end retail.
But in that high-end retail, I'm asking a vague question. In that high-end retail store, where are they? Yes. They're in the stock room, and if we have high shortage, then who's doing the stealing? Employees. Inside job. With me, right? I mean, how hard is it for a consumer to steal a shoe? You would have to like pretend to try them on and then like, I don't know, walk out the store. I mean, it would be much more challenging than like swiping, a stack of t-shirts off a table, okay? So stuff that is like under lock and key, stuff where the majority of the inventory is in the stock room, we're gonna have lower shortage, agree? Okay, so let's figure out what the hell this shortage is, $23.95. So here is where you do need a formula, okay? Up to now, there really isn't a formula. We don't need a formula. We're just adding and subtracting, and then subtracting the two numbers, book minus physical. Clear so far? Easy. Okay. So, to get shortage percent or overage percent, same deal. We're going to take our answer, the amount of shortage and overage, and we're going to divide it by how much we're selling. Let me explain this formula to you before we do it. We're going to take the amount that's missing and divide it by how high volume a department this is, okay? Like in men's suiting, a low volume department, we can't afford a lot of theft, agree? Because we're not moving merchandise. But like at a Forever 21, where man, we're pushing through so much merchandise, kind of can afford lots of theft. It's just the nature of doing business in a high volume environment, okay? So, we're going to take the amount of shortage, which we already have the answer, $23.95, and we're going to divide it by net sales. But uh-oh, look on your problem. I don't see any line that says net sales. And by the way, we are back of the book after the little yellow paper airplane, about 4 pages back or so. Okay. So, do you see net sales? What do you see? Sales-wise.
Gross sales.
I see gross sales. Okay, let me ask you guys, what's your gross paycheck? Not asking you how much money you make. I just mean, what's your gross before taxes? And then what's your net paycheck? Hot in here, right? Jesus. Okay, what is your gross sales? It's not after taxes or before taxes, nothing to do with taxes. But what is gross sales? Gross sales is what? How would you describe gross sales? Your gross paycheck is all the money you make. What are gross sales? Close. Gross sales is everything you've sold. Yes? It's everything you sold. What you have sold. Does everything you sell stay sold? What happens to some of what you sell? Returns. Great. So how do we get net sales? Gross sales minus returns. I have to be honest with you guys. I really do not care about gross sales. Gross sales doesn't really mean anything to me. What does gross sales mean? Who cares about gross sales? I care about net sales, right? I need to know if I've sold $1,000 worth of candles, but $500 came back. I didn't sell 1,000 in candles. I've sold 500, 1,000 minus 500. Okay, so to get the bottom number, on the side, subtract gross sales minus returns. Now this is super confusing. Why? Because a minute ago we added returns and we subtracted sales, right? But this is a separate little calculation. We're just trying to figure out how much volume does this department do. Okay, so who's got an answer for me? Gross sales minus returns.
115,817.
Yep, 115,817. Okay, that is our net sales. Does everybody understand how we got that? We just took gross sales, all the designer shoes we sold, and we subtracted the designer shoes that came back, that didn't stay sold, all right? So now we have net sales. What is net sales? Net sales is the volume that this department is producing. Okay, last step, just divide them, okay? Let me explain to you what your answer is gonna be before you even tell me your answer. Your answer is gonna be somewhere between 1% and 10%. Okay? In a designer shoe department, I would expect your answer to be on the lower end. Because not a lot of designer shoes are going to get stolen. And if your answer is 10%, then man, we have an employee theft situation in this store. Okay? But if your answer is 1% or 2%, then that's pretty acceptable. You know, we have some Winona riders in the store. More on that in a second if you don't know what I mean. What's your answer? 2.06. 2.1? Sound good? Yeah? 2.1%. Does your answer make sense? Yes. Would your answer ever be 21%? No. That would not, I would not do that to you.
That'd be crazy.
That's a fire. Okay, that means you had a fire on yourself. I'm not going to do that to you here. Does everybody understand how to convert the decimal? Yes? What'd your calculator say? 0.0209 something, and then we went like this, 1, 2, 2.09. 9 is greater than 5, so this can become 2.1. And even if you just wrote 2.09, I'd be cool with that too, whatever, okay? Always best to round it to 1 decimal place. 2.1 is a great answer, okay? Okay, so that's the whole inventory valuation piece. Kind of easy? It is, right? Let's review the steps one more time. And then there's another piece to this, which is basically just doing it backwards. But let's review the steps. So what's the first thing we did?
We subtracted and added our books, found the
We started with opening inventory, and we went down the list to add and subtract inventory based on whether it was coming in or out or up or down. And then we got an answer. What's your answer called? Beautiful. Book. Closing book inventory, book inventory. Great. Your books. Okay, then our next step. What do we do with book? Subtracted physical. And we got an answer. Okay? When your books are bigger, when the book number is bigger, what do you have? Shortage. When your physical is bigger, what do you have? Overage. Okay, so let's stop right there. Okay, gonna move on. Here she is, Winona Ryder, shoplifting at Neiman Marcus. Okay, there she is. Why somebody with her money would need to shoplift? I guess it's for the thrill. I don't know. But here's reasons why you will never ever see book and physical equal each other. Never. You will not. Okay? Never seen it in all the years that I've been doing this. They just never equal. Let me give you one example. Here's a random one. So every Sunday morning I go to Central Market to do my shopping. You guys know Central Market? You can literally walk through Central Market and eat an entire meal for free. I am not kidding, all right? What do I mean? So they sample like everything, right? Okay, let's think about samples for a second. So I go to the deli counter and I'm like, give me a half a pound of like, I don't know, turkey. And then they slice you a piece and they're like, here, taste it, right? Do they ring up that piece? Do they charge you for that piece of turkey? No. Okay, so let's think about a hunk of turkey. Random example, I know, all right? Every time they're shaving off a slice of turkey off of a hunk of turkey, that's shortage. It's not theft. Nobody's stealing it. You're just giving it the sample to the customer. But over time, that turkey is not generating as much sales as it's supposed to because you're giving samples. True? Anytime an associate opens up a bag of chips and puts it out as a sample and they're not ringing it up, that's going to create shortage. It's not a bad thing. It's just that sampling creates shortage. It generates sales too, but it creates shortage. Okay? Breakage. John Conte walks into a Crate and Barrel and breaks a glass. I've done that before. That's shortage, right? They're not going to charge me for it. They're not going to ring me up for it. And a lot of times they're just going to sweep that crap up and throw it away and not really make a record of it. That's shortage, okay? Here's another one. You execute a purchase order and you order 5,000 pieces of something. And the vendor accidentally ships you 6,000 pieces of it. And it comes into your distribution center and you take it in, but you take it in inventory-wise as 5,000 because that's what the purchase order says. But you own more. It's a mistake. You weren't charged for it, but you own more. That's going to generate an overage. Let me tell you my story. I should probably be pausing this, but you know what? It's so many years ago that I'll just tell it to you. So every term for graduation, I order for the keynote speaker at graduation a beautiful piece of crystal from Tiffany & Company. Okay, actually I don't order from Tiffany & Company anymore, but I used to. And it's this beautiful thing. It's like engraved with their name and everything and the name of the award. So one year, I ordered the award from Tiffany & Company. It's like a $500 piece of crystal. It's beautiful. And the box came to me. And I opened the box and it was like lighter than usual. And I opened the box from Tiffany and it was a citrine. I know that now because I looked it up. If you don't know what citrine is, it's a green stone. It's not as dark as emerald, but it's a green stone. And it's a semi-precious stone. Cocktail ring. And I'm like, okay. And so I go and check my credit card receipt and I was charged for the award, but this ring came Anyway, like a day later, the award came. So I'm like, okay. So I just kind of like put the ring to the side and I just waited. I checked my credit card. People, I was never charged for this ring. And like the dishonest person that I am, I kept the ring. I still have the ring. The ring is worth some boku bucks. Like, that's overage. That's an example of overage. That is a company shipping something by mistake. And for me, it's overage. For them, it's shortage, because I'm sure whoever ordered that ring, you know, well, I'm sure they got another ring, you know, but that's overage. That is them shipping to a vendor something I didn't order, okay? And me happily accepting it into my inventory, which is now my safe deposit box at the bank, okay? And now I'm telling the entire world that I've basically stolen a Tiffany ring. Okay, is everybody good with this? Before we do everything that we just did backwards. What? Why backwards? Good? Yes? Okay. Last 2 slides. Backwards. Okay, so let's think about this. In order for us to do the problem forward like we just did, what number did we need? Think about it. So you went down your problem and you solved for book inventory. You all know how to do that. But in order to continue with the problem, what number did you need? Okay, great. And by the way, we can always get that number, inventory, because that number is in our system, opening inventory. Say it again. Sales. Okay, good. We definitely have to solve for sales. Yeah. Think of that. So we started with opening inventory, we added and subtracted, we got an answer. Our answer was book inventory, and then what? Yes. In order to proceed, we needed a physical inventory number. If I didn't give you this number, you could not solve the rest of the problem. Does everybody agree? But where does this number come from?
Our previous inventory count.
I'll just remove one word from that, from the inventory count. The stores, right? The stores needed to conduct inventory in order for me to continue this problem. But how often did you guys tell me stores conduct inventory? Once a month, once a quarter, once a year. Except at Sunglass Hut where it's daily, which blows my mind. How long would it take
It only takes like 15, 20 minutes.
To count every single pair of sunglasses in the store?
There's probably like 600 to 1,000, I guess.
Okay.
Between backstock. It's not like huge, it's just the West Village one.
Sure.
So it's not like a north part.
Sure. But you would conduct it every morning?
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing. Wow. Okay, so man, that buyer is getting some serious, and would that data get transmitted to the buying office?
I don't know, we kind of just like have like the pre-made papers
Yeah.
from the Sunglass Hut company.
Yeah.
And we just document it for ourselves because we get like theft and stuff.
For the store, yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder how often that data is actually making its way to the buying office. Probably not as often as daily.
I think my manager's just like,
Yeah, maybe it's more of like a store policy, right?
yeah.
Okay, but anyway, my point is this. We don't have this number on a daily basis or a weekly basis. We're lucky to have it monthly. Most department stores are going to conduct their inventory once or twice a year. So the way I just showed you how to do this, it's really not the way you're going to be doing this on a regular basis. This is only cool if inventory's been conducted. So we're simply going to do this backward, okay? What we're going to do is we are going to guess or estimate shortage. We're going to take a guess as to what shortage is based on our previous experience with shortage in our department, okay? Our department always has a history of what shortage is, and it's generally going to be pretty consistent, okay? If I'm high-end designer shoes or cosmetics, it's going to be around 1%. If I am a super breakable glasswares department, it's probably going to be about 10%, or at least on the higher range of 1 to 10%, okay? So, the amount of shortage that probably has occurred based on past experience. So let me just show it to you, okay? Watch this. What's this number? 115,817. What is this number?
Net sales.
Sales. Okay. What if I took my planned sales number? the amount of sales that I know I'm going to have, because I planned it. And what if I took this number? What is this number?
The shortage percentage.
My shortage, okay. But what if I took this number from last year that probably also was 2%? And what if I just multiplied them? This times this is going to give me what? Right? This divided by this gives me this. This times this gives me that. Okay, watch. So now all of a sudden, this is not actual shortage, and this is not actual sales, and this is not actual shortage percent. This is planned sales. This is my shortage from previous, from history. And this now becomes my estimated, my guess, my hypothesis, my crystal ball shortage. This times this equals this. See? Yes or no? Kind of. That's my sales plan. I have that number. I don't have this number. I have this number. I know what my sales are because I planned them. Where did I plan them? In my 6-month plan. You all remember that. Conti, you said you'd never mention that again. This is my shortage percent. Where'd it come from? From last year and the year before that, and probably it was always consistent. So if I just multiply this by this, it gives me a guess at my shortage. What don't I need in order to guess this number? I don't need.
Oh, no, sorry.
No stupid answer. As long as you're thinking out loud, there is no stupid answer. What don't I need to get this answer? Physical. I don't need the stores to count, right? I got the number before they did. And I'm probably going to be pretty right on. I'm going to be able to forecast what my shortage is before they even count. And they're probably going to count a number that's pretty much similar to that, except I'm sitting at my desk. That's it. Let me show you. I'll show it to you on the slide, but that's it.
That would just be your estimate or your estimated shortage, or if they didn't give you
Physical.
okay.
Correct. It is your estimated shortage if you don't have physical. Okay? So here's what this says. All you got to do, multiply your net sales, which in this case was 115,817, times your estimated shortage percent. And that's going to give you your guess at what shortage is going to be before it even happens. Okay? You're going to be able to forecast how much is stolen, how much is broken before it even happens. Okay, and then one last step. Everybody good here?
Mm-hmm.
That's just a formula, but it's kind of common sense, right? If you divide two numbers and get an answer, you can multiply one by the other to get the top number. Okay, now watch this. So, what we just did was we multiplied this by this to get that. Everybody agree? Okay, so now we have that. So now watch. What number don't we have because the stores haven't done it yet? Physical. So watch this. Before we did book minus physical gives me shortage, right? So now watch this. Book minus shortage gives me, I'll add one word to it, estimated physical. So now I can take a guess at what the store is going to count before they even count it. Because I'm a freaking crystal ball reader. Book minus shortage gives me physical. So what am I doing? I'm just doing the entire problem backwards. That's all. I'm just doing the steps backwards. Okay? Except in this part, we don't have to add and subtract all of that junk. Okay? Book minus, actually we do because we still have to figure out book. We just did it already. Book minus shortage gives me physical. Have I lost anybody? No? Yeah? Easy peasy? Easy breezy? Easy peasy? Okay, cool. Let's do another practice problem. Okay? So this one, I am going to give you guys points for taking a stab at it, and then we'll solve it together at the end. Does that sound good?